Now, as a man in polygyny, you are not only different than your wives, but they're also different from each other. And they have different meanings. That's why it's a lot more responsibility on your shoulders. That's one of the reasons that it's a lot more responsibility on your shoulders. Assalamu alaikum, peace. I'm Coach Nazir, one of the founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships, as well as one of the authors of the incredible polygyny book, Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored. That was written by my wives and I, well over 300 pages packed of incredible polygyny-related content. If you don't have a book, get it. With that being said, though, I want to speak to you about something when it comes to connection, especially in polygyny. It doesn't matter what form of relationship, whether you're talking about with your parents or your children, your employees, or with your, fellow employees or employees that work for you, or if you are an employee and looking up to others in the company or what have you. So that is the 3 keys to connection. 3 keys to connection. I'm going to focus specifically in this video on your intimate relationship. So we're going to talk about polygyny, or your wife, your spouses, or your husband. So people say communication is key, and that's half true, if you will, because we need to understand what communication is and how it operates. And it's funny because when we talk about communication, we're usually thinking about the words that we speak. But how many times have you ever been in a conversation and either said or heard, it's not what you say, it's how you say it? Now what you say, but how you say it, keeping in mind that a number of different experts, when they come to evaluating how they came through these numbers, I'm not sure, but I come across them several times where it talks about body language is the biggest form of communication. Body language, picking up certain cues, certain looks, certain eye rolls, or pull to the side, or maybe a sigh, or what have you. Negative body language, having your arms crossed. Arms are crossed. It's certain body language, whether it's a smile that's forced, or smile with the eyes, or not. Okay, body language, I think they said that's 58%. Then you have tonality, like 27%. 27%. Then 5% just really the words you say. So communication, are you aware of these different things in operation? Now, we all tend to be, because you can say something without saying something. You can say something without saying something. You can say whether or not you're approachable, if you're in a good mood, or somebody can also observe these things. So open and honest communication. That doesn't mean honest as in brash, that you just don't have any type of tact when you speak and you're just rude, okay? But open and honest communication. Now, timing does matter, because if you're tired, if you're upset, if it's that time of the month, other things are already bothering you, may be heavily stressed out, may not be the best time to open a dialogue and begin communicating with each other. And again, when I'm talking about communicating, I'm just simply talking about in speech, because again, there are other forms, texts, all right, emails, yelling, all forms of communication, but open and honest communication, one of the first keys. The second thing that is imperative on top of communication is clarity. Clarity. Now, here's the thing. We all, for the most part, depending on what language you speak and how long you've been speaking it, we speak, and if you can understand what I'm saying as it is coming out of my mouth. Maybe you are a native American English speaker, okay? And it's quite possible you may also understand some slang and different dialects. So, clarity is important because we share the same vocabulary. However, we all have a different dictionary. This is what I mean. Disrespect to my wives may mean something different to me in certain situations. For example, I may feel disrespected if, let's say, we're out in public, something's going on, and she decides to step in and speak on my behalf, thinking that she's doing a good thing. For her, that's cool and that's fine. But for me, I might see it as dismissive and disrespectful, pushing me to the side in arrangement or what have you. Or we're at a family event, you know what I'm saying? And it might be time where the ladies are getting a plate, or they're cooking, the men are doing certain things, they may be on the grill, whatever, had the kids playing, whatever. And my wife decides to do something different than we normally would do. I would feel that's disrespectful. Why go out of your way or change your behavior? Similarly, she may feel disrespected by me. Maybe I decide to, not give her the opportunity to say certain things or act or behave in a certain way, or maybe not even choose what channel to watch on the television if we're going to, decide to watch something, or not ask for input on what restaurant she might feel a certain way. I might think, hey, I'm just, I'm taking charge, getting something for both of us. So we have the same vocabulary, but different dictionaries when it comes to certain words. So it's important to get clarity if you want to have a great connection by getting clarity in that communication. Very, very important. How many times have we heard, I didn't intend this, or I didn't mean to do that, or this is what I meant, or there's a miscommunication. We can slow that down by digging deeper and getting clarity. I think I heard a comedian say this, or I read it somewhere, where he was talking about this world we live in with all these abbreviations. All right. So there was an older person that was using the word WTF, or the initials of the phrase WTF and LOL. So she said, I think it was like, Aunt Lucy died, LOL. I'm going to tell. And then all of a sudden the family was getting these texts. Their family was getting these texts about how someone died and there was an LOL behind it. So one of the girls called her mom and she was like, Mom, why are you putting LOL? Mom was like, lots of love. Lots of love, like such and such died, LOL. Now, understanding the terminology, that's technically means laugh out loud, right? Before emojis became famous, that was LOL. You do that stuff like on AOL and everything as the birth of the internet started expanding. But she took it made up her own words and she took it for lots of love, or WTF, as in, wow, that's funny. Yeah, wow. That's funny. That's not necessarily what it's typically used for. However, getting clarity in our dictionaries and what things mean matters. It allows us to come closer and understand the other person, even if we disagree with how they may see things or interpret things. It's okay. We're different. But that allows us to open up that connection, recognizing someone else is just different than you. That doesn't make it right, better, worse, wrong, none of those things. It's simply different. Now, as a man in polygyny, you are not only different than your wives, but they're also different from each other. And they have different meanings. That's why it's a lot more responsibility on your shoulders. That's one of the reasons that it's a lot more responsibility on your shoulders. Now, the last part is comprehension. So you can communicate all day, but if the person lacks comprehension, a little bit of what we're talking about with clarity and understanding what they're meaning, then there's going to be a problem. So when they talk about the game, kind of telephone game, or say there's 15 people in a group and you have to pass it down ear by ear. And by the time the first person gives a message, by the time it gets to the last person, it's not the exact same message. If that happens, and a person pretty much generalizes, distorts, and deletes, as Tony Robbins says in his works, then how do we operate and function without being able to comprehend what the other person is saying? As an example, when I teach parenting and talk about parenting with children, one of the roles that a parent has is that of a confidant, that your child should be able to come to, communicate with, share with, but at the same time, you have to be able to teach them how to read between the lines. So when there's something going on in the world, like right now, we're living in extremely turbulent times. A number of different storms are brewing on the financial and economic front, on the war front, and the use of words, whether that be dealing with ethnic cleansing, genocide, so on and so forth, are bad and evil in and of themselves. However, there are other words that people and governments tend to use to try to placate it, especially in certain areas or countries, one with which I live in, right? But allowing our children to be able to read between the lines in these things is very important. You will also see couples who've been together for quite a long time be able to communicate across space and time, whether they're at an event together, see each other across the room, give each other a certain look, and they're on the same page with exactly what they're thinking. But making sure your comprehension is well, hence you have to be open to asking questions for clarity and making sure you're on the same page with the dictionary. Now, how do you do all that stuff? That's personal growth. That's not the subject of this video, but I would definitely suggest that you read in the name of your Lord who created you. Not only limit yourself to watching some YouTube videos or going to academia classes, but making sure you read. You get into the books, or you can even listen to the books as well, but invest in your personal education on how to work with and deal with, communicate with other people. Some books that you may hear of quite often are books like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I personally don't like the book. I wish it was an updated version, more modern talk. It's a good book. I had to read it. I mean, I was working on building my leadership, building organization, and so on. It's actually a good book. It has very good principles. Okay, that's one book. Or I also enjoy John C. Maxwell books. So you have Winning with People, for example, or 25 Ways to Win with People is another good one. So Thinking for a Change, that's another good one. Today Matters, those are all his books. But studying and allowing a principle or an idea to change your life and to help you grow means that you can grow together. And we function on GLC. So that's the growth, that love, and that connection. And today's video is all about deepening that connection to 3 C's that Coach Nazir uses when he helps people get their shift together. So with that being said, make sure you're being outstanding, because who said it's okay to strive for average anyway? Average nothing but the top of the bottom or the bottom of the top. With that, make sure you're being outstanding. And if you watch this entire video, below this video, let me know you're supporting us by watching what we're doing. You're empowering it, sharing it, and so on by putting the words 3 C's. 3 and then the letter C apostrophe S. So that I know. And we'll shout you out so far as a like and a love. We appreciate you. With that being said, make sure you're living life at a higher level. I'm Coach Nazir, the coach who helps people get their shift together. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.